Jonathan Chandler coming to you from the Virginia School of Traditional Arts. Just a little quick update on our butterfly bench. We had to put this one on hold for a little while. Had some other projects came up that were pushing the schedule, but we got back on this right about Christmas. We've done right much to it. I have videoed right much of it and lost the video. Anyhow, we're going to bring you up to date on what we've got so far. We have our back put together. I've just got it propped up here for the moment, but we've got our big flower cleaned up. We've got our butterfly. We actually put bolts, welded bolts behind the butterfly, 4 of them, and drilled holes into the leaves and bolted this butterfly on. That way we can take it off to paint it, and take it off and paint our flowers and our leaves. It's going to be very difficult if we were to weld that on there to paint the leaf and everything behind all of these little teeny plates. It's very difficult, impossible. I don't know how you would even try, but we've got it set up so we can take this butterfly off, paint the butterfly separate, put the butterfly back on. Since that point, we welded all of our leaves together with our flower, and this is a cohesive unit now. We're going to put a few more braces on it when we actually get it attached to this seat part. We went ahead and we've cut out our seat pieces and welded them together. These pieces are 2" by 1.5". They're hollow tube. There's 3 short pieces, of course, and then 2 long ones. And we've put ends, cut off little pieces of metal and filled the ends. We don't want bees and critters build nests in this and stinging people or bothering folks when they come to visit our sculpture. We've cleaned up the top welds really good, got them back down to flush, because we're going to use this material for our seat. And the only trouble with it is this is this plastic wood kind of material that they have now that they make decks out of. The only trouble with this material, using it for what we're doing, is if you cut it off, you see this crap. And I looked up, they make some solid pieces, but this is expensive, and the solid pieces are just outrageous. I mean, you just never seen such prices. So what we have done is we have added this curved section. I actually made this, it's not actually a curve, it's more of a stop sign kind of thing. It's got certain spots that we bent under our fly press, and we made it sit up proud, taller than this, so that when we cut this piece, cut the design out in it, it'll slide over and this will be flush is our goal. And if it's not quite flush, we'll grind it down a little bit if we need to, or do whatever we have to do to get it to be flush. We don't want it sticking up, and we want to cover up the ugly edges of this material. So after that, we have so we're going to turn this over. Next stuff's on the bottom. We have made these plates that match more or less our side. We may have to flip it over, whatever. Make it fit our side on both sides. And then we've used our power hammer. We flattened down this section of rebar, maybe 6 or 8 inches, 10 inches maybe. And then I have hand hammered it down and made a spiral with it. And then we put it in a jig. I'll show you the jig in a few minutes of how we bent this part. This was all done by hand up to here, and then this was actually bent in the jig because I wanted them all to look the same. This part didn't really matter as long as from this distance to the top was the same, and that's what the jig gave us. But these will go on here. Want to go on the middle straight out, and then there'll be 6 legs, and then each side will have 3, and then The other two will be at angles like that. And of course we'll flatten this. We'll take it on the grinder and we'll flatten this down and try to get it as flat and smooth as we can, at least like a ½ an inch wide, and then that way we have a good place for our weld to go, and it won't be doing this rocking back and forth kind of deal. The next step after that is we're going to cut out a leaf. Once we get all this set up, figure out our dimensions and everything, we'll cut us out a leaf shape that will actually be the bottom, and that's what will mount to the concrete. This is our jig that we made, or that I made, and it's just scrap. It's just a flat piece, and a couple of places here to set our bottom and our front, and then this big pipe. If we were going to keep this jig forever, we'd have cut it off. Don't need all this pipe, but we weren't going to keep it together for long. And I may use this big pipe for something else. So basically, we fitted our foot of our bench into this corner, and then we heated up this section here and bent it around with a pipe. And then I had to put this little piece on. I didn't have that on originally because once I heated it up, I had to bend this back because to get it tight around the thing, the pipe here, it went all the way around and then it was curved down this way. So we put that little piece on so we could bend backwards and get it to where it was straight. And that worked pretty good. And our jig worked out well. What the jig is doing is allowing us to set this height. From this section to the bottom is a certain height for our bench. We want our total height for our seat to be 17 inches, so we have to start subtracting off thicknesses to get our leg the right length. And so we had to subtract off a thickness for the base, for the little plate that we just showed you, the little looks like a D, and then the thickness of the metal part of the bench bottom, and then the thickness of the wood, and then you got to subtract off parts to get this dimension, whatever you want. But that's what we set up for. Worked good. Our rebar. Spent about 20 minutes a piece here cleaning them up because that's what they look like coming out of the forge, and this is what they look like when you wire brushed them. And it takes a little while to get that stuff off, but we want to get it pretty clean because we're going to paint these. And we don't want any rust on it. We want to get all the rust off. Picked out my legs, cleaned them up, got my big heavy plate welded to the bottom here. I've never made something with more than 4 legs, so we'll see how this works. It's not going to be as easy as you might think. That's our middle leg. This one is going to be our front leg. Set my square up so it'll hold. I have flattened these ever so slightly on the back with my grinder, belt grinder, so they'll sit up here better. But we're going to try to get them to be not sticking out where you'll trip on them. That's my goal. Like this. So that's what I'm doing. The square. The square to sit here and show me where the front edge of that's going to be. And I want that to be back at least not sticking out. I'm going to say something like that. We'll just tag them on and see what they look like. That's all I can do. That's it tacked together with the 3 legs on it. And like I say, I'd rather be lucky than good. We'll see what kind of level we get. It's not rocking, which is my first concern. Not rocking. Our table is almost dead level. Almost dead level. That's almost dead level. Back off the wells. That's pretty good. I think that's gonna do me. What's this one? Is this craziness? That's off just a hair, but I think that's gonna do me. As far as level line. My main concern was this thing would be floppy. I made no effort other than keeping them the same length the best I could. When I went to grind them and everything, they could have changed. So that's looking awesome, I think. Alright, just a quick update. We've welded on these legs. We've cleaned it up with a wire brush some. Trying to make sure there's no catchy parts somebody get hurt on. They get the feeling on it, so it's pretty much smooth. We'll have to go over it at the end and get rid of all the welding spatter and all that, but for right now I think it's good enough. Got a little welding spatter down in here I didn't get yet. So we may hit that again with the wire brush. Or some sandpaper or something, just get to knock off most of it. But this is what it's going to look like. But the reason I did the 6 legs is I was trying to mimic the butterfly legs is the thought I had. It had this one in the middle out a little bit, and these kind of shaped like an insect would be crawling, kind of what I was going for. Yeah, I've got a few more welding sparks on this that I need to get rid of before we paint it for sure. But now I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do here. My original plan was I was going to do some kind of a leaf shape to set these feet on and weld down, so I have something to put the bolts in to hold it to the cement pad. Is my original plan. We'll see what we can come up with. We'll use our new fly press. We're going to make parts that look like this. These are going to be the feet for our bench. And the fly press is a good tool for this. We don't have to heat it up. We can just do it cold. This is 5/8 square stock. And basically, we just start under here. I'm trying to push it through as straight and parallel as I can. That's after one pass. So what I do is I switch ends. I'm trying to keep myself any kind of biased I'm doing with my movements. I'm trying to switch it so it'll get the other direction this time. I got to bring it out here because it's already bent so much it won't go under. it. And I'm just trying to get it to a rough shape. It doesn't have to be anything particular. Nobody's going to see this. This is just what's going to keep it up off the concrete. And hopefully to save our paint from deteriorating so fast and just be a little foot under it. Alright, just a little quick update. I've bent and welded on my little feet pads. I do this on all my sculptures. This keeps this main plate off of the concrete, and you're only touching the concrete in a few places. And if for any reason that's an issue, you can either grind down the concrete a little bit or you can grind down the metal a little bit, whatever's easiest. But it keeps your main plate off of the concrete. It helps with condensation and rusting and all kind of things if your main base plate is not touching directly to the concrete. It also adds a little element of the sculpture floating a little bit. Look at the little edge of it here. You don't see what's holding it up, but it just throws a shadow line. So the next step is we've cleaned them up. We've rounded this edge a little bit, and we're going to go in and we're going to set these up to weld. I may weld that one edge just a smidge more. We've designed this so that our holes that hold our sculpture to the concrete pad are in between the legs and got plenty of room to drill us a hole. And the holes are a little bit rough shaped, but they're plenty big enough to put a 1/2-inch bolt in is what we're doing. This one has a little bit of a point on it. I may touch that with something, but we're going to play with this and get this sitting just like we want it. And I'm going to push out less of it to the front, more to the back. That's where the weight is. That's where it's going to be leveraging off of. And I don't want stuff out here that people will trip over trying to get set down on this. Same with the side. I'll keep it back as far as I can so people don't trip over these things. But this is fairly close to the profile of the bench, so I don't think that'll be a problem. And again, on the front, we're coming out maybe 2 inches. So we'll see about that. We may put an element out here so you'll stay off of this. We'll see how it looks. We welded on our feet and wire brushed them clean. We've got a few little welding spatters to get off yet, but they're pretty much done. We're starting to mock up our back. I've got it tied up here with a rope from the ceiling, and then I've got these 2 boards that are the same thickness as the plastic board that we'll actually use, and just to kind of give us some kind of gauge on how tall it needs to be. I brought this leaf over to the corner. It touches the edge here. It doesn't have to touch the edge, but I think I would like it to, and I might even bring it out past the edge just ever so slightly so we can get a good weld on that leaf. And we've got it tilted back, probably too much right now, but we'll play with that when we go to actually weld it on there. My main concern was when I brought that over to the side, I'm missing nothing. There's nothing to weld to over here unless I build up something. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of paper, heavy paper, and I've just made me a leaf out of that, like this. And we're going to cut that out, and we're going to form that with our new fly press. We got some tooling that we made. We're going to use that. All right, we've got our leaf. We cut this out with a plasma cutter, just freehand. I have put some veining in it with the edge of the cutoff wheel, and we've cleaned up the forge scale mostly. We're going to forge this thing with the front side to be the cup towards the front. And so that's what we've set this up for. We've got our tooling in here that we made the other day. Looks like this. And we've got a bottom tool in here that's a ring that I use in my anvil and my power hammer. And we've got it set up in this fly press today to do anything. So we'll see how it works. We'll just get a few giddy ups here. Let's see what we got. That's what we got so far. It's looking dished. When I do it with the power hammer, it works and it works well, but it's a little harder to control. You can't kind of check it, and it's hot, and you're doing it all at one lick, so it's a little bit more to it. We've got a nice dish coming here. I probably just need to work that around, keep working it out. But that's what we're doing with this, is not needing to be anything particular really. Smooth would be nice, but bumpy's okay too. It's a leaf, so no two leaves are the same. So we'll have to do them again. Trying to get a little closer to the edge. Alright, we'll try this round side of our hammer here. first leaf under the fly press. That looks pretty good, I think. I think it looks real good. Now there's some advantages to the fly press. It's a little slower, which doesn't seem like an advantage, but you can really control what you're doing with it. The main advantage I'm looking for is I can clean the forge scale off when it's flat, which is the easiest time to do it. And you can get 99% of it off so that you're getting ready for paint. Then we can forge it to shape here with our fly press. And then after that, we don't have to clean it anymore. I mean, we can clean it a little bit, but it's not caked up with scale again. It does have a few marks in it, but that's part of it. It's a leaf. If we want this end to tip up a little bit more, we're going to set it up on something here, maybe like that, and lower down here a little bit. There we go. And that tipped her up. Tipped her up good. All right. Alright, this is what we have thus far. We have our butterfly. We've got him on bolts so we can pull him on and off as we need to. We've got it tied up here to the ceiling so we can tilt the back as we need to. We pretty much got the base done. We need to clean it up before we paint it, but other than that, it's got a few welding sparks and stuff on it. We've got some boards here that are the same thickness approximately as the boards we'll use when we put on this. So this is about an inch, just slightly under an inch, but close enough. And we're basically setting this up and looking at it to see if we like it. And I'm liking what I see so far. We did add this leaf. We showed y'all doing that. And it does not touch our little side. This one does. Not a critical thing, but I think that's the way we're going to have it so our boards will slide underneath this. And basically they'll slide under here, and part of this will be over top of the board. So that's the plan. We have our braces, not exactly arms, but they're braces that will fit and weld on here, and this heavy rebar will keep them from breaking the back off of it, we hope anyway. But we'll weld that on there good, and that's kind of what we're setting up here to look at, to make sure we've got everything like we want it, and that we can weld where we need to weld. And it's looking pretty good, I think. But we're almost ready to weld the back on. I think that'll be tomorrow. But been working on my butterfly. I didn't show you all this, but we chose to add this expanded metal to the back of the butterfly to give him a little more depth, because he was looking mighty hollow. When you stood back off of it and looked at it, the butterfly disappeared. It would have showed up a little better once we paint it, but if you can't see it with just a bare metal, you can't see it once you paint it usually. So we went ahead and we added this expanded metal to the back of him, and I think that'll do. It gives us a little something to see other than just the curlicues. We'll paint the expanded metal one color and the curlicues another color, in probably black and yellow or black and red. We'll see what it looks good. And but I think we're getting along pretty good here to get him done. Alright, just bring you on an update. We're looking at the back of our bench. I've done very much work on it since we filmed anything. It's been pretty cold, so I feel like filming with the camera a whole lot. But we've taken some rebar, the same rebar we used for the legs, and put a curlicue on the end of it, and we've got it kind of bent more or less like a tree branch is the shape I'm trying to go for here. And then we had some short pieces, like this piece is short, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. I think there were 6 of them. And they were actually left over from when we built the legs. They were little 6-8 inch pieces, maybe 10-inch pieces that we cut off of the leg. And so we bent those up, heated them up and bent them in their forge. And so we've basically created a frame for our artwork to go on. And last night I was working on the last piece of this, and I'm going to make something that goes either that way or that way, like that. And I'm trying not to see this part over here. I want this to be hollow, but I want this to be supported. I have bolts through it several places, and I'm probably going to put a bolt up here. I don't want some yahoo to come and pull on that and bend my butterfly up, so I'm putting a brace, something to brace this with. So we'll probably do something in that realm there, somewhere around like that. Figure out which way looks the best. This is straight out of the forge, so it's still rusty looking. Got the forge scale on it, but that's what I'm gonna do today is clean this up and then weld it on, and then we'll figure out some way to put our bolt in here somehow. A piece cleaned up, and I've cut it to fit where I want it to fit, more or less. And we're gonna tack it in here so we can move on with this project. A little bit short. Right. We've got our butterfly bench finished. Apologize a little bit for not taping every little bit of it, but we've got right much of it taped. We've got our 3-dimensional flower and our butterfly. We added in this grate, this expanded metal, kind of give it a little more something here. My original plan didn't include the expanded metal, but once I got it on there, it didn't look quite right. We have got it attached. This is attached with bolts, so we can take this off and paint, do what we got to do, and we bolted it back on. We've got our Trex composite decking here. We curved this side, and we've got 6 legs on this thing, kind of to mimic the butterfly's legs is kind of what I had in mind. Our curly cues and all that worked out really well. I think it looks pretty good. We're going to install this at the Southern Virginia Botanical Garden probably this spring. They commissioned this, and we've got a little plaque yet to make for it. It's in honor of one of my former students that's passed away, and she was a very lovely young lady. But we're going to dedicate this to her and invite her family and friends over when we do that. But this is what we've got done. I think it looks really good. Our base plate down here, we've kind of mimicked it to make it kind of look like leaves, like the butterfly would be sitting on a leaf. Our leaves turned out really well. Our flower, I think, is spectacular, and I love the colors. But looking pretty good. That's what it looks like from the side. That's what it looks like from the back. really hope y'all have enjoyed watching me make this. Like I said, you can see this in person at the Southern Virginia Botanical Gardens in South Boston, Virginia in a few months. We're waiting for it to warm up to do our dedication. But if you've liked watching this, please hit that like and subscribe button. That helps our channel. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.